When we are talking about, say, cheap Chinese garden lanterns, it's always a pain. There are, by the way, good quality lanterns. I have one that really functioned for surely 12 years, but this is one of the, say, cheap ones. But cheap, of course, we have to say compare that to the time that we want to use it. Here you see the bunch of LEDs. I think they are green, yellow or white. Anyway, I took it out of the garden today, and you can surely see the, say, deterioration by moisture. And this lantern even had, say, a ground pin, etc., etc. There are a few important things to tell. At first, of course, the bad quality of the battery. We read here it must be recycled or disposed or whatever, etc., etc. 600 milliampere hour, 0.2 volts, so that means to drive these LEDs there must be a DC to DC converter inside, especially when we are talking about white LEDs or yellow LEDs. They cannot be driven with 1.2 volts, so there must be a DC converter inside here. Perhaps it's here, and the whole circuit could also flash with a certain position of the switch. So, quite a few complaints about how this circuit was made. You see here the contacts of the switch, the on-off switch, and they are quite clean, not corroded, so that's a kind of surprise to switch it on off. And perhaps it has to do with, say, a small rubber cap that was fitted over the contacts of the switch. The most important thing when we are talking about these cheap lanterns is that we have a solar panel, but the plastic of that solar panel here completely deteriorates during time, say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and that has of course everything to do with the ultraviolet radiation of the sun, to which the solar panels, in a certain way, solar panels are constantly exposed. Ultraviolet radiation of the sun deteriorates the internal structure of the plastic. And of course I don't know which type of plastic was used here, not at all, but anyway I can see the, say, deterioration. That's clear to see. And of course, say, fungus and algae also play a part. You can see a little bit green here. Perhaps this can be repaired in a certain way by, say, polishing the outer side of that solar panel, all immersed in resin, by the way, and that's good idea of the Chinese manufacturer to, say, immerse these cells in kind of resin, clear resin, but of course it's now not clear any longer due to the ultraviolet radiation of the sun. The material has changed. That's important. It gets yellow. It's not clear any longer. So that are the problems of these, say, cheap Chinese or whatever. Doesn't have to be made in China. Solar cells. The electronics are, by the way, in a quite good shape. Here you can see that. So not much deterioration due to moisture. Also, say, the solder contacts are quite clean. No oxidation here, no moisture, fungus or whatever. So this is, by the way, this is the good part of the circuit. The wires in these cheap garden lamps are always very, very flimsy. I don't know why. And that also means that all these contacts here can easily break off due to corrosion, etc., etc. And here you see again the natural corrosion of such a rechargeable battery. It was, say, silent, no mechanical disturbances, and it rotted away purely due to moisture, etc. And also all these flimsy wires also, say, rot away, not on their here on their, say, lengths, but on the contacts where they are mounted to the battery or to the electronic circuit. So when you want to repair such a unit, cleaning is always necessary. Polishing here the outer face of that solar cell, and of course it's never sure that you can repair that. Give it a clear surface again to which the solar rays can activate in a proper way the silicon cells here inside. I'm gonna try it. So quite a useless video, by the way, but anyway, perhaps it's interesting, and it's also important, in my opinion at least, that this say crap has also, say, an impact on our environment. That means that when it's thrown away, it must be thrown away in a proper way. The plastics have to be recycled, the electronic unit has to be recycled, and say a lot of energy is spent when we are talking about electronics. Chips, here's a chip, and then here's a chip. A lot of, say, energy is spent to make such a electronic chip, or a resistor, or a capacitor. So the environmental impact of making such a circuit that only works for perhaps 1 year or so, and then it's rotted out, is, in my opinion, too big. A too big environmental impact. Also, this cell, for instance, has to be recycled properly, cannot end in a landfill. In fact, there are valuable materials inside, and of course I know that these cells are recycled nowadays, in many cases, not always. Perhaps they also end in a landfill dump. Well, that are all my considerations when I'm, say, trying to repair this cheap, in this case Chinese, doesn't have to come out of China, garden lantern. So perhaps that was not something to get very joyful about, this video. So I'm gonna try to repair it, polish this. When it doesn't succeed, I'm going to use other solar cells that I have in store, also from old garden lamps that have the same problem. But the good thing could be for the manufacturers in the future, make a garden lamp that can work for, say, 10 years or so. It's surely possible. It doesn't have to cost so much dollars, euros or whatever. It doesn't have to cost so much. I have such a garden lamp that works now for approximately 12 years or so. And this is kind of crap. I don't want to say it's really crap, because we have a beautiful, beautiful electronic unit here. It's, when you study it and say how this all was made, the chip here and the, say, kind of regulator chip here, it's not immediately clear to see. That black one here, that black round dot, there is a, say, not a real computer, but a kind of mini computer in a certain way that regulates all the good properties of this garden lantern. Anyway, that was it, more or less. Thanks for watching.